Tonight, we shine a light on the hidden crisis of abandoned babies in Kenya. Some are found wrapped in tattered shawls, stuffed in polythene bags, or dumped in pit latrines and sewers. They bear the scars of neglect and survival. For years, children's homes offered them refuge, but now the government plans to phase them out in favor of foster care and adoption. While the shift promises dignity and love, it raises tough questions. What happens to babies whose families can't be traced? And can a system riddled with policy gaps truly protect them? Kenya plans to phase out private children's homes. The recommendation is that these children be put up in foster care or adoption. I spent the day at the New Life Home Trust in Kilimani, and I got a closer look at what this transition would actually look like for these children. Let's take a look. An incubator offers warmth and safety for a baby brought into this world only to face the wrath of a mother who couldn't handle keeping her child. This represents the heartache of countless other babies abandoned, neglected, and left to survive in a society that often fails to protect them.
Some may have spent hours outside naked. Some may be wrapped with a polythene bag, and that means no oxygen, enough oxygen to the body. So when they come here, most of the conditions that we are able to pick up immediately are things like pneumonia, bronchopneumonia. Others come with what we call sepsis. There is already infection which has already set into the body, which if we don't give a quick response, the baby can succumb very fast. So the other things we see is like toxic burns on the skin because of probably the toxin in the sewer or whatever. And when we realize there is any problem with the baby, we initiate treatment immediately. There are other things that we do as routine, because for one, we do not know the history of the mother, so we do not know the status of the baby. So we usually run a HIV test immediately when we are screening the baby to see whether the baby is exposed. We get a number of them who come exposed, but when we do the test and we find they are positive, then we start them on prophylaxis according to the guidelines. And over 95% of them, they change their status and they become negative. We usually do the well baby clinic. That is where we capture their monitoring of their growth, of their health status. We also do their immunization.
These babies never signed up for such a harsh start to life. Yet, against all odds, many survive the most unimaginable conditions after being abandoned at birth. Miraculously, some find their way to safety.
For us, when the baby comes in, it's a time of great celebration. As the gate opens, there's singing, celebration, we have instruments, drums, because in the African culture, actually in any culture, a baby is celebrated at birth. But by the time a mom is abandoning, and especially the harsh abandonments, you can tell there was no celebration. This child was not received well. So for us, we pray for the baby. We take the space where we actually break any spirit of rejection, anything the mom may have said, maybe she cursed the baby, we break that. And then we bless. We flip the coin, we bless, and we declare verbally, new life begins today. You will no longer be rejected. Then we get to know if the baby didn't have a name, of course, would have given the name, so the name is declared. Usually there's an English name and a Swahili name. And the Swahili name, even English, must be positive. Yeah? Amani, Furaha, Shujaa, those, and we speak those characteristics into the baby.
Founded in 1994 by British missionaries in response to the HIV pandemic, New Life Home Trust has become a beacon of hope for these most vulnerable lives. New Life Home Trust cares for babies, giving them a fighting chance when the world has turned its back on them. With branches in Nairobi, Kisumu, Nakuru and Nyeri, the organization not only provides care for abandoned babies, but also supports children with special needs in its Kisumu unit. In Nakuru, toddlers still waiting for families grow up in a place where love and care are abandoned.
As we've rescued the children and tried to trace back, sometimes you'd find it's relationships that have gone wrong. and maybe the mother feels she'll not be able to handle the child without her partner. Poverty is a major driver for abandonment, where people feel they'll not be able to take care of this child. There are those situations where we have cultural taboos. Could be a child conceived out of incest. We have situations where we find children were abandoned because they're severely special needs children, maybe obviously and physically handicapped, and maybe a mother feels they'll not be able to handle that child. And the abandonment ranges from mothers who would carry the baby to term, safely go to a hospital, and then abandon the baby, to very, very traumatic, harsh abandonments where the intention was obviously to kill the child.
The abandonment of babies is a tragically common occurrence in Kenya.
We do not canvass for children. It would be illegal for us to go looking for abandoned children. We wait to receive the call. For any person out there, if you found a child who's been abandoned, you must take that baby either to a police station, take the baby to a hospital, take the baby to the chief in your area. Taking that baby to your house is actually illegal. And when the police catches up with you, that would be taken as stealing a child or even child trafficking. So once the baby comes to the police station or a hospital, the mother left the baby, or those different scenarios, then we receive the call. And then our team would go out, the social worker has to go out, because we must begin to put together the child's legal file. The legal file begins with an OB number. That must be a case reported by the police. Every child coming here, it must be known by the police. Because maybe the child was not abandoned, maybe somebody was stealing the baby and panicked halfway, and so the mother must be able to trace the baby. Once we get the OB number, then the medical team is also at hand to begin putting together the baby's medical file. Do we know when the baby was born? Does the baby have any medical ailments? So those two departments must work together. So later, much later, when this child is either placed for foster or adoption, we must present the parents with those two files. The parent must know, where did this child come from? The parent must know what were the child's ailments from the beginning to the very end.
Some of these children will never be reunited with their biological families.
When it comes to family, we begin first by tracing biological family. Is there a way we can find a grandmother? Even if we don't find the mother, the father, can we find them? And if we do, we work with them. And we've been able to reintegrate many children back to biological families. But there are those children who are left in places where we'll never be able to trace the dots back. So using legal means, we place these children in foster care and adoption.
The government of Kenya, through the Ministry of Labour and Social Protection, is moving towards phasing out children's homes in favour of family-based care.
Many Kenyans do not know that it is legal to give up your child for adoption. Whether you are single, whether you are married, you do not need to abort your child, you do not need to abandon the child. And there are processes, legal processes towards giving that child up for adoption.
The Children's Act 2022 recommends the institutionalization of children and finding suitable homely placements. The challenge is that foster care is temporary. There's also the risk of a child being bumped from one home to another. With the existing gaps in capacity building to follow up on children in foster care, the future of these children remains uncertain.
Most times, foster care is for a year. Then you renew that license for another year, and hopefully by the time you're in the third year, you transition into adoption. Now, with foster care at any point, we hope not. But if somebody brought the child back, there's nothing you can do, right? Can we put systems in place when it comes to foster care? Increase the capacity to follow up parents. Once I get a child in foster, there should be a way the government tells you, come check in with us. Is this child going to school? Is this child doing well? Now, adoption is very different. Adoption is permanent because you have to go to court. You'd go through the same process of vetting as a foster parent, but once you're placed with a child, you bond with the child for the first 3 months, and at New Life, we require you to come monthly The medical team keeps checking on the baby. The social workers are checking, are you transitioning well? And after 3 months, you engage a lawyer. The matter goes to court. And if the adoption is granted, this child is as good as a biological child to you. Even if something happens in a month, you can't bring them back. This becomes your legal child. In fact, in law, this child should inherit.
Child protection experts caution against undermining the integrity of child welfare and compromising the safety and well-being of vulnerable children.
We should not incentivize this process. When you adopt a child, you don't get any funding to support this child. You've opened your heart, your family, you're committed. Now, if we bring money into foster care, yes, I know there are some families who may not be able to handle that, but if you bring money, as we've seen a lot in many countries, and if I'm allowed to foster, let's say 6 children, and for each child I get 15,000, there are people who will do it for the money.
Since its inception, New Life Home Trust has rescued 2,658 children. Currently, the trust is taking care of 153 children in their 4 homes. Over 85% of these children are in families today.
It's really amazing to watch the growth of the children, especially nutritionally, because we have cared for an 800 grams baby, and actually the baby grew up, gained weight, and went to a family.
We rely on people bringing in the diapers. The little ones have to have formula. Each baby takes us at least 1,100 every 3 days for 1 tin of formula. And yet that is not something that you can negotiate with the babies. We have to handle the children's medical bills because some of them come in very, very bad shape. And we have to engage and give them the best. We must fight for their lives. So for the people who are out there and who have never visited New Life, would say, please come, visit any of our homes. You don't need an appointment. Just come and find us as we are.
While abandoned babies are offered a new life through foster care, the delicate balance between temporary refuge and permanent adoption is vital, ensuring that these children not only find a home, but a future where they are loved and protected.